The new activity for Season of the Splicer is Override. However, when you first go into the activity, it can be a little bit confusing because there's a whole bunch of mechanics going on. So today, I'm going to run through the Override activity, how to access it, plus break down all the phases so you can run through the new Season of the Splicer 6-person activity with ease, knowing exactly what to do. Now, if you're new around here or find this useful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below for all the latest Destiny 2 content and turn notifications by hitting that bell. Well, Override is a little bit different from the last seasonal activity we had in Season of the Chosen, and that one was called Battleground. So Override is much more compact, it involves a few light puzzles, whereas Battlegrounds was essentially killing enemies, move on to the next zone, kill some more enemies, and then kill a boss. So Override has drawn comparisons with the Contact public event from Season of Arrivals from last year, given there's a mote collecting phase, but it is slightly more complex than Contact. So we are getting 3 locations throughout the season for the Override activity, and the first one that we have at the moment is set on Europa before we head into the Vex network, and later on in the season we're going to get one on the Moon, and then on the Tangled Shore too. So the Override activity can be broken down to 3 different phases, and what I'll do is I'll run through each of those phases later on in the video. But before we get into the activity, I did want to cover how to access the Override activity. Well, first of all, let's go over the Splicer introduction quest. So what you want to do is complete the mission on Europa called the Lost Splicer. This is one of the introduction missions for Season of the Splicer, and you're going to meet Mithrax, the fallen Kell of House Light. Once you've been through the Vex network once, you'll invite Mithrax back to the tower. So there's another quick introduction quest called Beneath the Great Machine. We talk to the servitor in the helm, you receive a Splicer Gauntlet. So the Gauntlet is pretty similar to the Hammer of Proving from last season, and this is the item that we're going to need to charge up in order to access the seasonal loot. Well, next up, let's have a look at how to complete the Path of the Splicer quest. So key codes are needed to open the chests at the end of the Override activity, and much like the other seasonal activities in Beyond Light, we run playlist activities to get the currency. This season it's Ether. Then we use that currency to craft an item, and this season we're crafting key codes. And then we use the key codes to obtain loot from the chests at the end of the Override activity. So after you've had a chat to the servitor in the helm, you'll get the Path of the Splicer quest, and this one is a short quest that is going to walk you through everything you need to know about the mechanics of the season. So first of all, you're going to use Ether to craft a key code, and then you want to jump into your first Override activity and open the chest at the end. Once you've done this, head back to the tower, have a chat with Ikora, and it's definitely great to see her back, and then go to the helm again and speak with Lakshmi, who's going to tell you about what the future war cult have seen. And essentially, she's seen the Fallen that were just let into the last city, standing in smoke and rubble, so basically they think trouble is coming. And Lakshmi looks like one to keep our eye on for the season, as the story is pretty interesting, fleshing out the Fallen, giving them lots of personality. So once you've done all this, speak to the Splicer servitor again, he'll give you some synthweave, and you can use that with the armor synthesis with Ada 1. So that is the introduction quest out of the way, and you did get a taste of Override there. However, let's break it down in a little bit more detail about what you have to do. So one thing to be aware of is the event is currently only on Europa, and the mechanics may change a little bit on the Moon and the Tangled Shore, but we're going to cross that bridge when we come to it. Well, first of all, let's have a look at how to access Override. So to access Override, you can launch it from a node in the helm, and the helm has changed a little bit this season. So it used to be available in the tower, now the helm can be accessed from the main destinations menu, and the helm is just above the tower. So Override is a 6-person activity, and you head in there with a pre-made fire team, or you get match-made with random people. Okay, so let's have a look at the Override Europa first phase, and the first phase is all about collecting and depositing motes. So enemies are going to spawn in, and the objective is to kill as many as possible, and then deposit the motes in the Vex structure that have the node. It's kind of similar to Gambit. So each time you deposit a mote, the progress bar on the left-hand side is going to go up. When progress has gone up by a third, the Vex structure will go into lockdown. So to unlock the structure, you have to solve a quick Vex puzzle by shooting the tiny red oracles that appear next to the pillar. So lots of oracles are going to appear, but your team should only be focusing on the red ones. There are blockers that you need to kill, and they can be fairly beefy in terms of health bars. To kill the blockers, shoot the red Vex things, And then the final thing to do is scale up the platforms that appear. So as you progress through the 3 cycles of the first phase, the platforms are going to get higher and higher. Once you get to the top, you have to hack the Vex structure from the highest platform available. And when you've done that, it's all about repeating it 3 times until the second phase of Override. So let's move on to the second phase now. So the second phase is a relatively straightforward platforming section, and it's all about getting to the boss. So once you complete the first phase, you'll jump down into the Vex network via a portal. So even though the path is fairly easy to get your head around, there are a few things to bear in mind, given there's traps along the way, and they can all kill you very quickly. So there's lasers, there's also moving walls, and you can also upgrade the Splicer servitor in the helm to reduce the damage from the traps. The other thing worth noting about this section is when jumping down the sections, you're going to gain a lot of speed, and it's quite easy to die either by hitting a wall or by falling off completely. And also, keep an eye on the platforms that appear and then disappear, and try not to fall off and die too much. But if you do, it's not the end of the world, and you do get pulled through to the boss encounter. Okay, so let's have a look at the third and the final phase of Override. So once you've made it through the platforming sections, it's time to take on the boss. So this is a Vex Wyvern enemy that tends to attack with a lot of force, so watch out for him jumping at you. So at first, you want to coordinate with your team to bring down the health of the Wyvern boss as much as possible until it retreats to the safety of the Vex structure in the middle. So once there, it can't be damaged, but it can damage you, so do be careful. So now a random enemy called a Scytail is going to spawn. It's basically like a champion. Your team's going to need to kill this enemy to get the boss to come back. So once you defeat the Scytail, it will drop a data spike, which you have to pick up and dunk into the Vex structure. So while the Guardian is carrying the data spike to the Vex structure, everyone else needs to shoot the Vex cubes that are shielding the boss in the middle. So once the cubes have been destroyed and the data spike has been dunked, then it's back to killing the boss. So repeat this process a few times and you're done. Well, next up we got Override loot and decrypted data. So at the end of the activity, you're going to get 2 chests. So one is going to contain the regular event rewards, and the other is going to contain Splicer loot and also decrypted data. And this is what you're going to need to upgrade the Splicer servitor back at the helm. So it's worth noting as well, to open the chest on the right hand side, you are going to need a key code, but if you forgot to load this up on your Splicer gauntlet before you headed into the event, not to worry, you can do it at the end, just as long as you've got enough ether. So check out the quest tab, look at the Splicer gauntlet, load up that ether, and that should craft you a key code. Now you can use the key code to open the chest, and you'll get that Splicer loot. So once you're finished, head back to the helm and use your decrypted data to upgrade the Splicer servitor for various bonuses that you can check out back there at the helm. Well, that's pretty much it for the Override activity, and let me know what you think of the Override activity down there in the comments. Do you think it's a good seasonal activity, and do you think it's better than Battlegrounds? Well, that is it for this Override activity guide in Destiny 2, and as always, thank you so much for watching. For more Destiny 2 content like this, hit that subscribe button down below and subscribe to This Week in Video Games. If you want to join the community, check out the Discord link in the description, or you can follow me on Twitter at TWIVG Podcast. If you enjoyed this video, found it useful, liking and sharing the video would really help me out. Otherwise, check out the other videos on the channel. Thanks again. See you soon.